You know what I mean? Only thing that can kill me is death.
Hell no, I can't trust nobody. So I keep me a stick at the party. Pulling up finna catch me a body. Round with them choppers, no Harleys. They know I gotta keep my Scotty. 33 and it's acting retarded. If it don't kill me, go harder. All my niggas and we moving like shotters. And I'm big tier late, we poppin'. We bought no assist, no Stockton. All my niggas, we up, we locked in. If he say got gas, might stop in. HP for the number of Harden. Free MC, white chalkin'. Tried to catch a play, D Hopkins. Pull up on the scene, we walk down. All that talking tough got chalked out. Bitch down the bricks, my hot route. How we gon' lose, we hot now. Got me sippin' Henny, that act up. Get it by the load, no Mack truck. Put your ex on my sack up. Bitch out of line, I'll smack.
Hey, welcome to Pittsburgh Chatter, where I do interviews where I want, whenever I want, with who I want. And today I got a special guest, Tom. How's it going, man?
Sir, how we doing? I'm doing well.
So you had reached out to me in the DM, and I had to do some extensive research. It really helped that you sent the link so that I could know. But then I was confused at first because I thought you were the artist because someone in the video had looked like you, and he was like, no, that is me in the video. And you said you would manage it. You manage Spooky, Lotto, and who else?
Yes, sir. So management-wise, he's really my only artist that I oversee. We're a part of a group as well. We go by the Wedding Party.
So that's the group. That's not one artist's name.
Yeah, the Wedding Party is Spooky, and then one of our boys, he goes by KM. So yeah, we KM. We're pretty much brothers. We all grew up together. KM is my older brother's best friend, and Spooky is my younger brother's best friend. So it all just kind of came full circle when KM started to do music back when he was younger. He's a little older than me. So he started about 08, 09 was really when he got going, and then he took a little break, and then when Spooky came on the scene, he kind of helped us out, got started, and he got back into it. So yeah, it was it's been a couple years now, but yeah, we're getting to it.
All right, so we're going to get to the music and the stuff of that aspect. But first, I seen that you have you're going out for some bartending award with Bar Boss, correct?
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm kind of confused on this. How does this work? Explain this.
So in regards to the Bar Boss, it's have you seen Breaking Bad?
Yes, I've seen Breaking Bad.
It's Walter White and Jesse. It's their tequila company. So it's Dos Hombres. Yeah, it was honestly just something someone sent to me on Instagram. I just sent in my information, and then it's all public voting. So all I've a big group of people I network with. They've helped me out a lot.
And I've seen how the voting aspect works is you have to confirm but you could purchase more votes.
Correct.
But you have to confirm for one. So it was you could confirm through Facebook or some other.
Yeah, I think it's Facebook, and then you could leave the card info. They do the verification just so they're not a bunch of bots blowing for random people. But yeah, it's been good. I just got I made it through to the round of 15, I believe. Last night was the cutoff then, so I got another week of voting, and then hopefully we can get in the top 10 after that. So we're keep it pushing.
But even if you don't win, the promotion of course I hope you do, but the promotion that you gain from it is good, because I also seen that you had a mini interview with them. But that was when you were saying that if I win, that you would want to basically do some sort of party with your coworkers. And I was kind of dumbfounded when I heard this, because I was like, y'all must be like a family at work for you to actually use some of that proceeds to do that. Yeah,
it's those are my people. When I moved out here, I mean, I've been with them for 2.5 years, pretty much the whole time since I moved to Pittsburgh, and they've been good to me. I had a lot of learning, a lot of growing to do in that industry from where I was coming from. So, yeah, those are my people. There's not many that haven't been there since I started, and there's not many new people in that 2.5 years. So I've learned a lot from them. It's a family-owned business, and, I do kind of look at it like that. My family, is back home for me, but, they held it down ever since I moved out here. They've taken really good care of me.
So how did you get into this? Is this a career path you just stumbled upon? How did you choose to be a bartender?
So I did not get my bachelor's degree. I went to college for a couple years, and then I took a job at MGM Resorts back home. I worked in nightlife out there for a couple years.
That's a good job, though, MGM. Yeah, I was about to say.
That was definitely laid the groundwork for me, and it kind of just came down to where I was at the point in my life where the financials was my main focus, and for someone who with the skill set that I have, and not a very specific degree in any demanding field, it's this is the best bang for my buck. I like the schedule. I like to interact with people, being involved in other facets of life. I love the networking aspect. I've met tons of people. I'm very resourceful, and that's, I think, I learned very young that it's more about who you know than what you could really do. You could be the best at what you do, but if you have no connections, it really doesn't lead you anywhere at that point.
Okay, so I don't want to give off exactly where you work because you want to keep some things personal. But as far as like, is it more of like a upper like scale type of deal? Because when I see that picture, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. It reminded me of like Party Down and that type of aspect where like, okay, this is very serious because there's levels to this bartender shit. Like, let's be real here.
It's it's definitely on the higher end side. You know, without being a corporate structure, it's not going to be, you know, some of those downtown steakhouses and things like that. But my owner started this when he was young. He's had this business for 20 years. He's put so much effort into it. That's the type of people I want to be around. My goal down the road is not to own a restaurant myself, but I would love to stay in the industry. And he's my best resource. He is just what he's done for the community, just kind of where the restaurant is, and it's great to see. Like, it's
so it's a restaurant. It isn't like a
it's a bar. Yeah, fine dining. We have one full bar upstairs that I operate, and then I got a great staff around me. So like I said, they really make it all come full circle. But yeah, if I was to win the competition, I would say, you know, they're gonna have a good time as well. I think we're all gonna win in that situation. So I'm excited to see how it goes.
Okay, so one more question about the bar bash competition. So how does it work? Is it a grant, like a stipend? Like, how do they?
From what I looked into it, I'm assuming after what applicable taxes go into it, I'm assuming it'll be a little less than what the 10 grand is, which is that's kind of life right there. You're never really gonna get what you fully expect on the financial aspect, but yeah, it was honestly the money wasn't the persuasive factor for me to get into the competition. It was when I looked into it, there's so many skilled bartenders and people in that industry where for me, even doing this for a while, like, I still kind of look at myself as a novice. I'm not an egotistical bartender. I want people to enjoy the experience that they have no matter what they're looking for. So it's a lot of, you know, asking the right questions. People have to like you first. If people don't like you first, no matter how the experience is, it's never going to be what
so
they
personality
expect. So,
is key.
100%.
Okay, for sure.
100%.
All right, so another thing that I have to ask here is, think about it. You're in that more of like the nightlife kind of scene. You're serving alcohol all day. So when it comes to partying, is it like, I'm kind of cool off that, I'm already into that? Is it the same?
Yeah,
you're serving drinks all day, like, you know what I mean?
It definitely molds you a little bit. And I know I've seen it firsthand. I know that the industry could go one or two ways for a lot of people. I'm grateful that my lifestyle hasn't really changed since I got into this industry, whether it was when I was at MGM back home or when I moved out here. I'm very homebody-ish, so I spend a lot of time at work, and my days, by the time that I'm done, the last thing I'm looking to do is go out at that point. So my days off, it's different. You know, I'll pop out. You know, I love the aspect of it. So I'm not a huge drinker myself, but when I do go out, I love to look at the list.
Well, is it you've just never been a huge drinker, or is it because you just don't the smell of it?
I got into that scene when I was on the younger side. So, like, the tail end of high school, you know, when I went to college, like, I had my fun, and, you know, I really got to a point where I was like, I'm ready to buckle down. Like, I wanted once I got into the industry and I saw what the money was and the potential of everything, I have fun every day. So for me, going out late night, being out 2, 3 in the morning, like, that's just not my scene anymore. So at the casino when I worked there, I'd be there till 4 or 5 in the morning. You know, my schedule was all sorts of wonky at that point. So now it's like, you know, I just enjoy my time at home. That late night's kind of like my creative aspect. You know, I make a lot of people that I work with are up at those hours. So, you know, we'll hop on FaceTime or I'll hop on Xbox and I'll just kind of cut it up with them, see how everything's going. So not being a creative myself is,
Why Xbox?
I don't know. It's honestly, I never played video games growing up. I got an Xbox a couple years ago.
We'll give you, it was just random. It wasn't like you chose.
I use it to communicate. A lot of my people will be on, and it just, rather than like text message, I'm not very good on my phone, so like text messages, phone calls, I don't always have it on me. So the Xbox is kind of like for an hour or so when I get home, I'll chop it up with a couple people, and then that'll lead into, you know, more legitimate conversations that we'll set up and things like that. So yeah, I just use that as another way to stay in touch with everybody, which is good.
Okay, this might be a funny question, but it's like, as far as like can someone inspire you? Like, can you be inspired by a bartender or someone that like they have to be like pretty good though?
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree with you because there's plenty of places that I go and like my opinion of things may be a little different than a casual consumer just because I do it for a living as well. But I think the biggest thing for me is, and my owner said it when I first started, like, and I took it to heart, like, I've been plenty of places where the experience has been great, but my bartender was, my server was just a little robotic, and you don't get the full experience, in my opinion, at that point. So, one, I'm at an advantage and a disadvantage. From where I grew up, people always laugh at me. My dialect is a little different. My verbiage is a little different. I talk fast. So I kind of had to mold myself to this environment for people to not feel as though that, they're being rushed or I'm overwhelmed. Like, I'm very well composed, and I think that goes a long way. People will see me running around like a madman, and I do everything I can to make their experience, it's not a low price point. So it's not like you're going just out to get a meal real quick. Like, it's an experience, and I think that is the main, you want to drink wine, we're going to drink wine. You want to do cocktails, we'll talk about that. You're not that hungry, we could find a route. Like, there's tons of different things. People who travel, they can't take leftovers with them. Like, we give out so much food that there's so many little things that come into play with it that at this point in my tenure, I know which questions to ask. But my first year and a half, that took a lot for me to, figure out what people are looking for. Some people don't want to talk at all. And it's just being able to distinguish that, they're out for a business meal. There may be 5, 6, 7 people at the table. And you could gauge that, Sometimes it changes throughout the night as they start to open up. And obviously that's when the liquor and drinks kind of play a factor in that. Yeah. But, yeah, I think I'm a very good judge of character, and I think that goes a long way in the industry. And I'm genuine. I tell people all the time, like, I don't care if you spend any money or if you spend the most money in the world, I'm going to treat you the same way. Like, I want everyone to get the same experience. I want everyone to know what the company is about, and that if you're going to come and see me, that you're going to be in good shape at that point. So,
okay, no, I mean, that's the best thing you could be is genuine, because people can sense that off the rip. They could tell, okay, there's no motive with this, so it inclines them to actually want to give. That's what really works when you just kind of be yourself. It sounds cliche, but it's very true. It's definitely very true. Okay, let's talk about the managing thing. So what are some of your responsibilities as far as managing them?
So in regards to who I deal with on the most regular basis, not being a creative myself, I think the biggest thing is I stay in my lane. I'm not pushy. All my artists that I work with, they all do other things, whether it's work full time, they have other endeavors, family, kids, whatever it is. Like Spooky's my guy. Spooky is definitely my main focal point. But he's in the process of looking to buy a house, things like that. And as a creative, he's like, yeah, I've been off of it for a little bit now, but like time will come. We're very just go with the flow people. So for me, I'm big on regards to, I like to be, and shout out Brea Simone, I like to be the connector of all dots. Mm-hmm. I heard that when I was younger. This girl who used to do event coordination back where I grew up, that was her like Instagram profile, was the connector of the dots, and that's my goal. I want to be able to put people in a position to where they could exceed their expectations. So for me, I'm a big question asker. I'm like, what do you need from me? So it's different in every situation. There's certain people who need help with the social media aspect, with some content, and not being someone who is well versed on that side of it, I'm very resourceful. So I find those people, and I like to support people who like to do it for the love of the game. So, my graphic designer, audio engineers, things like that, those are people who they want to be involved, whether it's they need the money or they want the recognition. Like, I try to support people who genuinely want to be there and aren't just doing it for the money at that point. So it's all, I want it to be organic. I don't want anything to feel forced.
All right, so tell me if this is the right situation, and if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But is it more or less like you know what to do, you know where to plug people and what to do, but it's like you have to take it serious for me to even like be able to put you in this position. So if you're focused on something else right now, I can't even put you in that position.
Yeah,
is it that one of those scenarios?
No, and I agree. I don't think you could have said it any better. It's the way that we look at it is the way that in my opinion, how music is transitioned to now. you can do something and not think that's what it's gonna be. So I tell them just to be consistent when they're ready. I'm like, listen, I'm not expecting you to. I don't do this full time. So I'm not expecting them to do it full time. If they do it full time, I will give them 100% of my effort. But it does come in waves for us. I'm not gonna sit here and say that we're getting to the bag or we're interacting with tens of thousands of people.
Well, this is the start. This
Yeah.
is the step. This is how you get to that point. Yeah,
100%. So we're big on like we're both very quiet people for the most part. My Spooky is my brother, and he, you see us out, and like you're not gonna pick us two out of the bar to be, some sort of creative aspect people. But it's a lot. It's after I learned really what goes into it with, purchasing all the beats, trying to find a producer to work with, so we're not leasing every beat off of BeatStars, YouTube, things like that. It got to the point where I was like, okay, if I could get a good circle of people who are consistent enough to where what we're looking for are all of our agendas kind of meet in the middle, and that's where I think we're at right now. I would say in general, on the consistency level, the people that I work with, there's probably about 5 or 6 total that I talk to, every couple of days, and even if it's not on the creative side, like those are my homies at this point. So,
because I looked and the music wasn't bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like more of like a Future type of Juice WRLD type feel to it. So it's perfect for club music. And it seems like it was 2 years ago when the videos that you sent.
Yeah.
And it seems like, of course, like it was like you guys were building just a tad bit of traction, and that if you would have kept going, it would have got to where it needed to be. So my question is like, when are the next videos? Because he sent me a project that he had dropped, but like there wasn't any promotion for this project or anything.
Yeah, it was.
And you said he just dropped it at midnight.
Yeah, it was a project we kind of had in the tuck. We dropped. It's called the Cold Hearted Tape. Mm-hmm. It was something that all those records are a little bit on the older side. Those are ones we've kind of had in the vault. Okay. So we did that. A lot of his. So the first album that he dropped, we took off of streaming recently. We're gonna end up dropping a deluxe on that sometime next year. But that was his baby. That was the first one that he dropped, and maybe when we dropped that, we might have been a little bit of a rush to get something of that quality of body of work out. And to this day, that'll always hold a special place to me. That was the first thing I've really got to work on with him, and looking back on it, like me having all the files on my phone, like I still listen to that to this day. So I'm excited to get that back out to the public, and with kind of a deluxe aspect. And last year we dropped it's called Curated by Capone. He let me executive produce one of a project off of all the just kind of miscellaneous stuff that we had in the folders, and went through and did it that way. So we just went through, we figured out which records were gonna work. He's very versatile. So that Juice WRLD comparison, that's his favorite artist. So he's one of those people where, not having an ego, making music is a pro and a con in certain situations, but he makes music tailored to artists that he likes, and he's like, I made this because I like how someone like Polo G or someone like Juice WRLD sounds on this record. I want to try to do that. When he sings, he's like, my goal is to sound how like when Lil Wayne sings. Like he has all those different inspirations that I don't necessarily hear throughout the creative process, and I think that's my favorite part about it. I love being in the studio. I love doing all that, and I do think that time will come when all the moving parts kind of slow down, when the studio sessions start to go back to being like a nightly thing. And I think that he is someone that just has the direction and the drive and just natural skill set to get to where he needs to be if he does want to take it serious. So
you're in the studio, you're around for the videos and things like that. So is it safe to say like you enjoy the process? Like you're not one of those people that's like, I don't feel like I don't want to be around. You like to see the process and then the finished product.
I do. I like the aspect of a lot of people that he's worked with, and videos we've done, other interviews, just conversations we had with other artists who are a little more established. Everyone's a real person when it comes down to it. So it's like the people that I work with are all genuine. I still, even if it's not someone that I work with consistently, I will still reach out to them. We still talk. We'll start to get a rough idea of the next time we're gonna work, and get everything concept wise, things like that. And yeah, everyone's good. Like I'm very transparent about a lot of things. So it's like, if I'm gonna do it, we're gonna do it. We're gonna lock in. We're gonna get it done right there. If we're not 100% committed right then and there, I may grab some details, but that's not going to be the last time you hear from us. So we like to be very structured about everything. I think bad business is the worst thing that you could possibly be a part of. So I'll make sure that that is not anything that we could ever be involved with. I'm very thorough in regards to the financial aspect of it and just making sure that both parties are happy with what the end result's going to be, no matter what the product is or, you know, style of event, coordination. You know, I try to make everything as easy as possible. I'm definitely the planner of like my group of friends, and then obviously doing this, it falls into play a lot. But yeah, I love doing it. I'll talk to people all week. I'll get everything situated. I wouldn't even be there at this point, being out here, and he's back in CT, you know. But I'll set it up. He'll go through. Those are all his people at this point now too. So it's a very unique dynamic, I think, for a lot of people. But I've had multiple people reach out since we kind of got going and got this started, and it's I think a lot of people wish that they had someone like me in their corner, just off the fact that, you know, I'm doing this pro bono. You know, the financial aspect is not something that's flowing on the music side, and not that we expected it to be. And I hope one day it is like that, but at the same time, like we're just doing it for the love of the game. Like, we just like doing it, and I want to be around other people who do that too. I know that other people's, you know, motives and positions are there, and they may require a little different financial responsibility. And if it's someone that we want to work with, we're gonna make that happen one way or another. So there's tons of factors that go into it, but I genuinely enjoy being around. When I go home, I may only be in CT for 2 or 3 days. One of those days I'll be in the studio, and it's, you know, a couple different people cycling through. Other people, just different styles of music. I love to get input. I'm not someone who.
And you've tried to rap, and it's
it's definitely. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and say I've never hopped in the studio, but
let's
yeah,
keep it a buck.
It's yeah, it's the definition of a white man trying to rap right there.
Okay,
so
okay.
Yeah, I got no rhythm, no flow. I know where I stand, and that's it is definitely not something that
even you've tried maybe like someone write it for you, and then maybe
So and I've me and Spooky have worked together on a lot of records where, you know, he'll have a hook or a bridge or whatever it is that he got started, and he's like, see if you can get something for me, because I do love to write. And
don't take it the wrong way. You have to look for it.
Yeah, and I think for me, when people, and that's funny you asked about the videos, because when I first booked the first music video we ever did, we showed up, and I had talked to the videographer and the studio manager, and, you know, we get there, and he's getting everything set up, and, you know, we're just hanging out. We're kind of just getting everything prepped. And I noticed that he was recording me to start, and after a couple minutes, I had to tell him, I'm like, yo, listen, I'm like, these are the guys you want. I said, I'm just going to be in the background over here. So the first 2-3 minutes in there, I think the content was all me. But, yeah, it's and it is, and I could understand for other people how it could be a little confusing of the aspect of, you know, low level in regards to where we're at, and like the recognition and like people being aware of who we are, and me being the main focal point of who you're going to talk to. So it's definitely I've had these conversations plenty of times with people.
Because I'm just an honest person, I have to be honest. Like, this is a prime example of that. Like, right now, you're here. You have 2 artists, they're not here.
Yeah.
Like, I just have to be honest. You're here pushing their brand for them, and they're not here. You get what I'm saying? So It has to be one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm going to put my foot forward, but you guys, look, I got this opportunity. Bam, bam, bam. We have to make this work. Like, that just really has, if I have to be honest with you, but that really how it has to be.
No, and I agree with you 100%. It's since I moved out here, it's definitely been a little different of a dynamic, and it does make things like that tough. And when we were back home, we were always together, and whether it was something that we were getting done in the studio, or, you know, we were just, you know, that was my homie, so we would always just kick it. Everything kind of worked out to, you know, one way or another we were going to get in a conversation like that. And I think being 2 homebody people between myself and Spooky, I think that is at a disadvantage for us. And I would like to think that when, you know, we get a little more situated just outside of life itself, and both being with the full-time jobs and things like that, I would like to think that time will come where our catalog will be built up enough. You know, we can start to have a little more real conversation with people about it. Because as of right now, you know, I like to push for them, and I like to talk about what they're doing. And
this is one of those things where it's like, this is what you doing. This is like the 50-50 thing. This is the foot on the pedal. Like, oh, he's serious. He's on a platform where he's pushing us, and he's trying to. Oh no, we can't not, like, he's going on a pod and pushing us. It's one of those things where it's like, this puts the foot to the pedal. This is what happens.
I agree with you. I think Yeah, I would like for everybody to, I want everyone to be happy with what they do no matter what it is in life. So, and I get it, like I said, not being a creative, I don't have the same mindset towards them in a lot of
So
those
you
things.
appreciate it even more.
Yeah, and it's, there's certain times where he's just like, he's like, I'm just, a little bit of a block, like, I'll lay some beats down, I'll get a couple hooks out, I start writing some verses, and then, we get, I think the best way that I could describe it is he'll send me like 2/3 of a record, and he'll be like, listen, see if we could figure something out for this, and if not, who do you think you could hear on this? I'm big on like supporting local artists. So for me, there's tons of people that I grew up with, and I'm gonna pay that, couple $100, whatever it is. I'm gonna pay that if I feel as though that you're gonna make this record what we want it to be, and that's we're coming. We don't have a budget, like this is us.
But he's talented enough to where it's like people will. Okay, you're not terrible. You're actually kind of good. Oh, yeah, we can work together.
I know what people think about because I go through the same thing on a much lesser scale. I know what gets in your DMs. I know what people send you, and I'm the same way. I tell people straight. I'm like, listen, I hope that you guys keep working, and I hope that it's just not for us. And like, I've never had that happen. I don't know if it's people who are just willing, to do it for the money type of deal, which is whatever. But I think everyone that I've worked with,
I'm telling you, he's not weak. He's talented.
I know he's not, and that's the thing is too. Like, I confidently send that out knowing he's not a bum, and I know that his music is very versatile, and I think that is his biggest strength in the fact that he could hop on any sort of beat, and we could figure something out from there. And I think that's my favorite part about it is just the direction that I hear it going is so different than what he hears that when I hear his input, I'm like, oh, okay. I never would have thought of it like that being who I am. So it's nice to have, and with my boy KM, there's an age difference between the three of us. So the mindset and the expectation, and we all have different things that we bounce off each other, and we have meshed it together so well at this point to where everything has its own lane, and some of it doesn't get finished, or some of it doesn't work at the time. We also used to do so much product that at times we would listen to stuff and we'd be like, damn, I didn't feel that as much as I did when we recorded it.
You can't think like that because when you release it, you don't know. Like, I was listening to one of my bros' projects today, and we were talking about how, like, he was like, damn, it's crazy when people listen to my stuff and it'd be like, oh, I don't even like that song, but that's the song that they like. Yeah. So you can't even think like that.
I had to get out of my head on my personal preference. I listen to so much music where it's like I could find something in every record that I enjoy. So with him, obviously that's my brother. Like, I'm a little biased. I think that everything that he does I think certain things are better, and we work on a lot of things. But there's a record on the project we just dropped last night, and it's called Into Me. And first, like 4 or 5 months after we did it, he was like, I'm really not feeling that record, and I was like, all right, we'll keep it in the vault. Like 6-7 months went by. And we played it. We were debating on what we were going to do with it. Because I think I'm going to put it on the tape. And I was like, and I didn't say nothing. I was like, all right. And then we kind of sat there, and he was like, why are you laughing?
Life experience.
And I was like, yeah, 8 months ago you told me you did not like this record at all. And he was like, I thought so. And I was like, bro, it changes. Like, it's all being in the studio as much as he is. I understand. Like, we would work on, the same record for a couple hours, whatever the time frame may be. It does start to sound different. You say it's like saying the same word too many times. You're like, yo, is that a real word at this point? Like, that's what it feels like. So we try to keep it fresh. If we know we're not going to finish something, we may put that on the back burner until we get into like a legitimate session. It can go back and be a little more detail oriented. But yeah, we're big on, get it started, see where it goes. If we feel as though it has the potential to be a complete record and have what it needs, then, we reach out to people, or we buckle down and finish it that way. We reach out to other producers. They got artists who want to get on it or have opens on different records. So, yeah, it's definitely a lot. But it's I like to see what he wants to go with it. And sometimes we may debate on it and be like, I think I should go this direction. I'll be like, I don't know. I'd maybe try going a little slower on the flow, switch up the cadence, whatever it may be. And we try both of those, and we'll have a couple takes on. We use Logic, so we have a couple takes on Logic, and we'll just kind of go back. Sometimes we'll do half and half. We'll split it up. We'll be like, we're like this part here. Let's transition into this. But you have so much free reign. I think that's one of my favorite things about it as well, is he's taught himself everything. He engineers all of his own records. He makes his own beats. Yeah, he really I could go back from the first wedding party project to where he's at now, and even in that 2-year time span, I could see how people who are that dedicated genuinely get better at their craft. And we're not someone, like I said, who's 110% locked in. So for him to get that much better, like those people who are in the studio every day, like I do want to hear their opinion because that's what they do for a living. And whether I think they're, a great artist or just a great person, I love everyone's insight, whether it's good or for bad. Like, I want to hear what you have to say. If you don't like it, why don't you like it? If you like it, why do you like it?
It's really hard to take things serious when money's not involved immediately, and we all get that. But all right, let's transition over here to more about you, because you're talking about you're from Connecticut. That's where you grew up.
Yes, sir.
So how do you make this Connecticut Pittsburgh transition? What's the differences here in the people? Just tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I moved out here when I was 27. I'm 29 right now. I'll be 30 in June. But yeah, I moved out here when I was 27. My mother and my stepfather took a job out here in 2015. So it'll be 9 years in the spring. So me and my brothers have always come out. We were relatively familiar with the city just from a couple times a year coming out, visiting, going out with them. And when the pandemic hit, my prior job got shut down, and I knew it was going to be a little bit before that opened back up. So my buddy was like, hey, I think I'm ready to make a move. Like, where would you be open to going to? So we talked about a couple different cities. With what he does for work and what I do, we wanted to keep it somewhere, city-based, but, not anything too crazy. We looked into Boston out by us, and then when cost of living was a little expensive in general at that point, so we were like, let's see where else we could go. Yeah, Pittsburgh just worked out to where he knew that I had, my mother and my stepfather out here, and that I was relatively familiar with it. And it just kind of worked out to where that was, cost of living. There was so many different factors that came into play with it that
compared to other places.
Yeah, it just kind of happened quick. And we rented for our first year. And I bought my house in June of last year. So he ended up going back to CT after his work contract was up. But so I think the biggest difference is I think people get a bad rap in New England just off the stereotypes, which, we do fall into some of those. But it's a little standoffish. I wouldn't say people are necessarily rude. When I used to work at my prior venue, there's people who I would serve every day for years, and I couldn't tell you anything about them. We didn't have those type of conversations. They were in there for different reasons. They did not want to talk to you. Out here, people are so friendly. And I think that was I'm a very social person to begin with, but I think it still caught me by surprise when I moved out here.
Whoa, hold on. I have to stop you. You said people out here are friendly.
I do believe so.
So is that all right? So just so I can get a clear understanding of this, would you compare people in Connecticut to more like the New York vibe?
We're in between Boston and New York, so it is tough. It's a very different dynamic.
Okay, now I can see how you think Pittsburgh's nice. Okay, all right, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's the weekends and times that I have spent in the city, it is a very different environment. If you're not from there, people know that. You stick out in those New York City, those Boston environments, in my opinion. I'm not very familiar with Philly, but it kind of gives me that, that type of vibe. So when I moved out here, everything is very close proximity from for what I do personally. So when I go out, it's I have these conversations with people that I've never met before. We'll just be sitting down next to each other, having dinner, whatever it is, and I think that was the thing that caught me by surprise is we'll just start having a normal conversation, and then that transitions into, by the time they're done, I know what their kids' names are, I know what they do for work, what their plans are, and we kind of have that conversation. And I think that kind of opened me up to just be all right, people want to have those conversations, and I think people can sense being genuine, and I'm not here to BS anybody. I want to have those genuine connections, and for me, I'm new. I don't have many friends out here. This what I do for a living. I'm 50, 60, 70 hours in there. My days off, I kick it. I'm not someone who's really out and about, trying to make a new group of friends and things like that, which is kind of contradicting to me being big on the networking aspect. But I'm very transparent with those people. I'm yo, you're doing a show, or you want to reach out? I'll go to those shows, or I'll go and we could hang out, whatever. But I'm not necessarily saying we're going to become best friends because we have similar interests and things like that.
So wait, how did you come across my platform then? Is it just by chance?
Yeah, so I forget what exactly I stumbled upon. It might have even just been like my For You page on Instagram, and I was like, I love the local aspect of everything, and I saw the artists I watched a bunch of the snippets originally, and I watched a bunch of the artists and producers you had worked with, and I was like, it'd be kind of cool to maybe have someone a little different. Not being a creative myself, I was like, maybe we would have a good conversation that way. So that was when I reached out, and I was like, if we have the availability, we'll make it work. And like I said, I'm very realistic with. I could only imagine what you thought when I first sent the message, thinking about the artists and things like that. Like, I know what people could imagine when I am in the DMs talking about music and things like that. So I always laugh about it.
No, I respond to everyone, and I take everyone serious because when I first started, I know what it was like. So
and I appreciate that too because, like I said earlier, like I've dealt with some people in the past where the business really hasn't been where I expected it to be for the money that they wanted, or just the fact that they were so blind to what the image they're giving off is, and when money's being sent and the product's not being sent back, and vice versa, and they'll only
I don't play like that. You seen it?
Yeah, no, that's how I am too. If I like. And when I message you back, I'm like, listen, cash in hand whenever you want to commit. Like, I'm good for it whenever. And I'm big on that. Like, if there's a time in our, us doing things where it doesn't work out, I'm like, all right. I'm like, listen, right now is not really a good time. After the new year type of deal. Like, I just think the transparency and that open line of communication is the biggest thing.
Something I learned over the time, don't take offense to it. Because when you haven't been, like, at the bottom and have had to put in groundwork, you'll never understand. Like, what we're saying right now, people will be like, man, what? Nah, I don't care, bro. I gave you what you asked. Nah, you have to take what you're doing very serious. And when you've put in the groundwork or you've been on the ground and had to build up to somewhere, you understand it completely different, and you don't play with people's time. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better. It's I'm not trying to waste anybody's time. I know that nothing is guaranteed. Time is very valuable. I want people to enjoy working with us. I think that's just like we were talking about with the bartending aspect. Like, people don't like you no matter what the product is. All in all, you're never going to get the full experience out of it. So when I go to these studio sessions and people meet me, obviously they work with Spooky and things like that. I'm kind of in the background. I'm chilling. When you need me, I'm there type of deal. But we know all these people are such good people that I've worked with in the past that those have become people I still hold communication with, and I still ask for their insight, and I utilize them. Artists that I've worked with, they're also my photographers, my videographers. They're multifaceted. There's not many people I know who are
that way you can keep everything in-house.
Strict to one lane. Like, when I go to my studio back home, the manager of the studio and the manager of that record label, I met him through my college roommate, and when they kind of got a little more traction and got the studio and had the visuals and all that, I was like, all right, like, I want to see how you did it. So I want to come in. I booked a session. Spooky did a recording session with another artist out of Connecticut, and I just got to talk to this guy in the midst of it, and it was very genuine interaction, and he helped me out a lot. They still do to this day. There's a handful of them that I see every time I go home. And
how often do you go back for?
I would say every couple months.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's fair. It's not too bad.
Yeah,
okay.
I would say between people coming out here and me going back there, I'm in the point of my life, I've been to like 15 weddings in the past 2 years, so my trips have been a little less structured in regards to I've had other things to do when I go home. But I always usually have an extra day or two in those trips, and I definitely, studio that we go to is about 30 minutes from where we grew up, so we'll always make a trip out there, 4, 5, 6 hours, be out there, just chop it up, and sometimes we don't even record. We'll just go out there, go over content.
All right, I want to get to family, friends, in like your childhood life, but before we go there, so my question, of course you're not like higher echelon of people when it comes to bartending, but like, what is your perception of bottle girls that like kind of do the both thing? Like, do you have any opinion on this? Because this is real big in like the clubs and things now.
I coming from a nightlife venue, I work directly with bottle service and my cocktail servers on a daily basis. I understand, and I like in that industry, I'm all about the money. Like, the experience is going to come. I'm not going to change who I am as a person, so I know I'm giving what's needed as a service. But I know how important good workers are to have no matter where it's at in the venue. But yeah, if you're a nightlife venue and you're doing bottle service and things like that, it is very tough to find people who are really good at that craft. And regardless of what people may think about the position or the expectation of when you go in there. Like, I'm very grateful for the people that I've been around in that field, because they're the same way. Like, everyone's got their own hustle one way or another, and it's like everyone's got their own stuff going on. You don't really know, like, a lot of these people. I used to work with so many people in my department where it's like I didn't get to know everybody as much as I wanted to. But you know what? When they came into work, they kept their head down with a smile on their face, and they got to it. And there's nothing but respect for a lot of those people. But it is tough. You get one bad person in that group, and it really does affect the whole dynamic of it. So you could have 95% of hardworking people who know what they're doing, interact good with guests. It's what you have to be able to feel out what these people want. But you get one bad person in there, and it does affect everything. I've had a few of those I've worked with where you have to adapt, because these people are like, yo, we'll never come back in here if we're going to be with her again. So it's like, then you start getting requests for specific people. People start getting butthurt about not being able to take a section or whatever it is. And like, I'm coming from a tip pool environment. So for, different departments, like cocktail servers, bottle girls, bartenders, bar backs, like, you're getting your own money one way or another, but we all still work off of each other, because you can't do one job without the other. So there's tons of, I think, bad images that are given off on the nightlife. And, there are plenty of venues I've been to where I'm like, okay, I know that I'll never come back here just because it's not for me. But it's also the fact that you see how people carry themselves, and you see, you could probably get a good idea of what the energy is going to be when you get in there. And it's people are not stupid. Like,
but when you break it down like that, it's kind of like, okay, because like, of course, the perception of bottle girls isn't the best, and then you'll run into the most nice one, but then like you said, it's like everyone else is requesting that person, so it kind of gets a little bit difficult there. Okay. The only reason I had asked that is because I just know you're in the field, so you would have the firsthand experience and understanding, and versus going out and also having that experience. So I had just figured that out.
Yeah, you got to take it for what it is in that field. I mean, you get a certain clientele who goes out and on the bottle service side of things, you get the people who are doing it as like, a work party or, a celebration for something. You get other people who do it every weekend. So it's a very different dynamic. Like our regulars that would come in and rent the sections, we knew what they were going to get. We had that ready for them. They're coming in at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. When they walk in the door, people are going to know that we know them or that we've worked with them in the past. We're talking about everything prepped. They what type of liquor they're going to start off with. And that's, I think, in general, in life, communication is just the biggest thing. But those are people that, I may not know anything about, but I've talked to them enough in the venue to be like, all right, like, you going to come by next week? Yeah. All right, I'll get a bottle of 1942 ready for you, but if you want to do something different, just shoot me a message and I'll swap it out for you. So when those people walk in, especially if you're bringing different people, and that's big with the business clientele, just people in general, you come in with other people. And my biggest thing is I always show people the respect no matter what position you're in. I don't care if you're the janitor, if you're the CEO, like, I'm going to treat you the same way. So when they come in, how you doing, Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so? Great to see you. How's everything been? How'd the soccer game go this week? Like, those are the things that people don't forget. So when they sit down and there's 5 other people with them and they're like, damn, he knew little Jimmy had a soccer game this week? Like, that's the type of things that builds that rapport.
I didn't even
with
know
people.
that.
Like, yeah, that's really what it is. Like,
yeah.
I tell people all the time, I may not remember everyone's name because I deal with so many people, but I'll tell you where you sat last time you were in here, what you had for dinner, what we talked about.
Context clues, and you'll put them
100%,
together. Yeah,
100%. They're like, I'll get a wife who's like, I was in here with my husband last time. This is my sister, and she'll have already talked about the experience they had last time and how much they enjoyed it, to where I know there's a certain precedent that's set for the sister where I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure I'm on my A game again.
For sure.
Like, I want everything to be consistent. And I think that is, music, work, just life in general. I think that's just kind of what I stand on. But yeah, it's everything is just kind of carries its own weight. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just attention to detail, being genuine, and just knowing what your clientele wants. And that takes some time, obviously, but yeah, you just have to be willing to be receptive and take criticism and understand that not everybody is going to want it how you do it. So you have to be able to adapt. And I think, if you can make it, in my opinion, I always tell people, if you can make it past 3-4 years in the service industry, you'll do well. If you don't get past, then it's just not for you, and that's fine. It's not for everybody. Schedule's different, hours are different, demand is different.
Customer service is
Customer service. You work corporate versus a family-owned business. Like, I've been all over. So for me, it's like I'm very well-rounded. But some of these people I work with have never worked with corporate, or have only worked for family-owned businesses in Pittsburgh, or vice versa, moved from somewhere else. I have other people who have lived all over the country and done this corporate for their whole lives. And yeah, it's just a very different dynamic for everybody.
All right, because corporate versus family owned, oh my gosh, because family owned is like, all right, you can do it this way because it's efficient. Corporate's like, no, I don't give a fuck how fast it gets done, like you doing this way. We want it this.
100%.
Don't change it.
That's,
and it's like, but if I do it like, all right, anyways, let's move on. So let's talk about family. Growing up as a kid, what's some of your hobbies, things like that? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I was an athlete. I played football, basketball, baseball my whole life.
What position?
Football, I was a quarterback. I
Baseball.
played the 2 or the 3 when I was in high school for basketball, and I'm left-handed, so I played outfield and first base in baseball. Okay. But yeah, I did sports all the way up until I was in college. I played 2 years of college football on the club level. Yeah, that's some of my best memories, honestly. I'm definitely one of those people they may laugh at. My boys still laugh at me. They're like, yeah, you peaked at 18, senior in high school. And I'm like, yeah, to an extent. On the athletic aspect, I did. I was like, I like to think that I started a new chapter at that point. But, yeah, it's, that's a lot of my life still to this day. I'm a huge sports fan. I love going to events. I love doing all that. And I'm big on family. Like, I'm so close to my mother. It definitely plays a huge factor on why I moved out here. And I think a lot of people, I see that not everyone has the type of relationship that me and my parents have. And my parents split up when I think I was 12, 7th grade, if I'm not mistaken. But my parents were so respectful about it and have always been cordial with each other and never put me or my brothers in a situation to where, we were ever uncomfortable. Everything was always situated on their end. And looking back on it, I can only imagine how stressful it was for, people in that time. But, yeah, my parents kept the 10 toes. Like, they figured it out for themselves, and I'm forever grateful for that. But family's always been big to me. I have 4 brothers.
I was about to say.
Yeah, I have two blood brothers, and then I have 2 stepbrothers who I'm really close with. And I have 2 stepsisters as well. I didn't necessarily grow up with my stepsisters, so I'm not as close with them. But my stepbrothers are my father's wife's sons, and I met them when I was in 8th grade, and those are my homies. That's my brother's name is Joey, and Spooky is Joey's best friend. So I've known them since my dad coached them in basketball, like 1st, 2nd grade. So I've known them my whole life. And then my older brother, he goes by T. He grew up with KM, our other artist that we work with. That's his best friend. And it actually worked out to where my friends in high school, I graduated class of 2012, and my brother was class of 2008. So we had a 4 years difference. But all of my friends are right in the middle of that. So naturally, even if he wasn't my brother, we would have been friends. We're in the same group of people. I'm all about that. I'll do anything for my brothers. I'll do anything for my friends. I have 2, if not 3, individual group of friends that I still talk to on a regular basis. People I grew up with, people I went to college with. And
so where did you go for college?
So I went to Eastern Connecticut State University. Okay. I did community college for my first 2 years out of high school. And then I always went part-time when I was at Eastern. I worked at Apple when I was in college for a couple of years as well. So, yeah, I was always big on being fully employed and things like that. So college-wise, I never really took it as serious as I could or should have. But I realized with the industry that I was getting into that I wasn't in a position to where I wanted to keep doing it at that point. I felt like I was getting a little redundant on it. And I wasn't really giving it 100%. So once I got into the service industry and the MGM opportunity came about, that was kind of my main focal point at that. And yeah, it's a lot of moving parts up until this point. But yeah, my family is everything to me, and my homies are. Well,
you're in the nightlife, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about this a little bit, because you also said you're single with no kids and you're 29.
Yeah.
So you're 29 and you haven't found someone to be.
Yeah, it's.
I'm 27, so I get it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I should have just did it when I was younger. So many options. Do you get older? It's like, ugh.
Yeah, I think for me, up until I moved out here, being like in my hometown, I think a lot of people, in my opinion, were complacent. Like, there's people that I have known my whole life individually, and then, at that 26, 27, 28, 29, like, they're dating for a year and they're getting married. And it's like, I just want people to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I might laugh about the situation on my own time, but it's to me, I think my concept on it is I think a lot of people are doing it for the image. I think a lot of people have an expectation of what life should be at a certain age, and I've just never fell into that category. Like being at the casino 22, 23, 24, 25.
Oh, you must have seen a lot of people.
I have,
cheating.
and that's the thing too, is like I was never one of those people that was like, I don't need to get involved in this. My lifestyle has always been very easy, and everyone that I've worked with, I would like to think that I had a good relationship and that they genuinely liked my presence and I like theirs. Like, and I'm very laid back. Honestly, like in my dating experience, like the girls don't like that. I don't argue. I don't raise my voice. Like
that makes them madder, bro.
It does, and it gets to it. I'm like, we could argue if you want to argue, but I don't think that's gonna get us anywhere because then I'm just gonna get angry, and I don't have the tolerance for that. Like I got other things that I'm focusing on. Like, I do genuinely believe at one point in my life that everything will fall into place, and I will find that person that whether it's gonna be the rest of my life or for just the time. But yeah, I'm just very transparent about everything. Like when I have those conversations with people, I'm like, I don't know if I want to have kids. I don't know if I want to get married. Like, I may be 29 pushing 30, but, like, life is different now. Like, I statistically, I think the marriage is a flawed concept. Like, these people are getting married just to get married. And in all reality, when the numbers don't lie, it's like, you're at a higher percentage of getting divorced in your lifetime than you're not at this point. And that's just, in my opinion, like.
I think it's because it's marriage for love. It's not like marriage to build a family.
Yeah.
When you go into marriage to build something, it becomes bigger than you.
It's an empire at that point.
Yeah,
like,
but
you gotta start something more than, just getting the white picket fence and having the home and, having a dog and a cat. Like, you gotta have something that you're building towards, in my opinion. So
let's get into this conversation a little bit. So, like, when you are dating, like, what are you typically looking for? Like, because I know you come across like some nice women because you are a bartender.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, what are you looking for? Like,
yeah, it's I think the biggest thing for me, and I'll probably always live by this, is like, I don't play around with my venue. Like at MGM, if that was the first point that I met you, that was all it was ever gonna be, because no matter what, that's how you met me, and I don't ever want it to come back to where if a situation goes south or
you feel comfortable to come.
Yeah, like I don't want to feel a way if you come back into the venue and you're like, oh, I went out with him twice and blah 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 blah. Like I don't want to deal with that. Like for me, I'm in there. I clocked in. My intention was not to meet my girlfriend that day. Like my intention was to do what I had to do, collect my money, and go home.
You different, because I know niggas that will tear every single thing down.
And I've seen that, and if that's what you're about, I'm there for you. Because listen, I'm still a homie. Like, and
I'll wingman you.
Yeah, I will go over. Listen, we need a 2-man something. We're in a 2-man something. But once you get it done, I'm out of there. Like I know where I stand. Like, but yeah, you do genuinely meet a lot of people who, I have been like, okay, like these people have a similar mindset to me, or I didn't necessarily think about this like this, but I like how they said that. So I'm intrigued by a lot of people. I think that's probably the best word I could use to describe it. So I will ask them questions and I will have conversations, but I will straight up tell these people and be like, hey, I'm just kind of like interested. Like I don't necessarily think that, we about to get married or we about to date for the rest of our lives, but we could hold this conversation down and we could see where it goes. And like, I want everything to be organic, whether it's the music, life, work, whatever it is. Like, I want it to fall into place naturally. So it's like, if I ask the right questions and I'm who I am and you genuinely love that for what it is, then I think it has the potential of going somewhere. But yeah, I've just never rushed anything. When I was younger, I kind of got into that of being like I was single for a very long time.
So you've never dealt with any type of toxic situations?
Nah. I mean, I've had my handful of interactions where
you've seen it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say I've never been involved in something that's toxic, but yeah. But yeah, that was very short-lived. Exactly for that reason, is just the fact that I'm not gonna waste my time with someone who is on such a different wavelength, and the energy that they give off. I'm not like that. I'm not a confrontational person. Like, I know, and I'm very self-aware. I know that the people who I grew up with, I know that they know who I am, and I know how they look at me. And that is not something that bothers me, because it's not always necessarily wrong. Like, you could form your own opinion off of anybody, and there's probably some, truth in not to that. But you know, I know my flaws, and I think that's the biggest thing as a person is like I try to work on those daily. Like,
bro, give me something here. All right, give me something. So, can we get a celebrity crush? Something like,
yeah, oh for sure. So growing up, it was always Rihanna, but Rihanna out the picture now. She'll always
ain't it? Don't it kill you?
kill me. I'm on the Mariah the Scientist now. Mariah the Scientist. I love Mariah the Scientist.
We see Untouchable too.
Shout out Doug, but yeah.
Yeah.
I love Mariah the Scientist. They be killing me at work because I'll be posting a bunch of music, and then every once in a while there'd be a post of Mariah the Scientist in there, and like, yo, you like her music?
That Revenge is good.
Like,
Revenge.
Yeah. I'm like, I like that too, but I'm like, I love her.
Yeah,
I love her. But yeah, it's so crazy too, because like growing up, like my parents love Friends, so like Jennifer Aniston was my like growing up crush, things like that. Like now as I get older, I'm like, damn,
she don't look the same.
Nah, it's crazy.
I remember. It used to be like
life go quick. Life go quick.
Damn.
That celebrity lifestyle is definitely different. I know that shit.
Bro, they age away fat, bro. Hey, do you see it or am I tripping?
Nah. And it's don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna sit here and say she's still not beautiful.
No,
to
she's
this day,
still.
But
yeah.
like, but what? Like, I remember growing up. I'm like, yeah, it's different now. It's different now, and I think that plays a factor in a lot of just what society like expects of people nowadays. Is like, y'all want to be able to like be with someone who is like just naturally them. Like, I don't want it to be. I don't want you to have to put effort to feel as though that I want to be with you. Like, if I'm with you for the right reason. So, but yeah, no, it's shout out Mariah the Scientist. Saw her in concert last year. She's a dope performer too. Sorry with Rod.
Maybe we could get her to comment on the post when I chop this up.
I'm gonna try. I've been trying for years, but hopefully this will be the one that she interacts with. So,
well, facts. We'll push it. All right, so outside of the artists that you manage, do you have like an industry top 5 or people that you listen to most
Absolutely.
frequently?
This is a question I was very excited to answer. So
yeah,
like I said, I'm big on. I do listen to a lot of music, but I'm big on like the local. I'd love to support local artists, especially if it's something that I genuinely like. I will always, for years, my favorite artist, out of CT and just in general, he goes by Eastside Lenny. He used to go by Say Kiro. He did a little bit of a persona change as he got into a different chapter, so he goes by Eastside Lenny now on Instagram and all streaming platforms. Within that group, they go by Out of Tune. So Flawless, he's the manager and producer and engineer in that group. That's someone who I work with pretty often. Genuine dude. He's helped me out so much between myself and Spooky. Joseph Gray does my photography when I go back home in the studio sessions. Tough R&B artist. Rap his ass off as well. There's just a different, they all kind of bring their own thing to the table. And Smile Little Crybaby, he's my video guy when I go back. He's he's fucking funny as shit. It's one of my favorite people.
You just gonna keep putting your I get it, but I'm talking
people.
like you know how Mariah, you said Mariah, like
sure.
those type of levels.
I got you. Tory Lane's one of my favorite artists. I know the situation that he's in right now is a little different, but that's kind of how I base my like taste of music.
After you finish this, we going back to that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I love that style of music.
Okay,
I love that like trap R&B, and I love that like Tory Lanez, A Boogie, Seti Hendrix. Like I grew up like, to me, I think Drake is the best artist of my generation. So like that's a conversation as an artist. I debate this with people all the time, and like to each his own type of deal.
I agree. You can't. It's hard to debate it now. Who are you gonna put above him? Kanye, and then you can't do that because Kanye does everything. So it's like,
and that's like on the artistry side of things. Is like my opinion is going to be different because I'm not an artist. So other people who are in the field and whatever,
but
they're
you
going to look at it
can't
differently.
debate it now. Like Drake's almost 15 to 20 years solid.
Yeah, I mean, it's like your LeBron and Jordan debate. I'm like, people are like, Michael Jackson's the biggest artist ever. I said, I don't disagree with you, but I was born in '94. I didn't listen to Michael Jackson, so I'm not familiar with
nothing.
I'm familiar with the popular things, but I never have dove in. I couldn't give you the whole discography of MJ at that point. So it's like I don't like to speak on things that I'm not educated on.
Okay,
and if I do, I'll keep it very generic and be transparent about that. But yeah, so Tory Lanez, I like A Boogie. I listened to Sleepy Hollow. That was one of my favorite projects this year. Was Boy Meets World. Lil Durk, one of my favorite artists. I really like that Chicago rap. Lil Durk, G Herbo. I like their groups. Yeah, and then I'm trying to think of like
Mac.
I grew up
You
on
don't
Little
like
Wayne. I do. So when I got put on the Mac when I was in high school, and obviously not being from here, he was just another artist to me. But yeah, I learned more and more moving out here, and just the impact that he had on the community and what he did. Like I've never been around an environment like that. So when people talk about him, and like I could genuinely see, one, how upsetting it is for people that he's not with us anymore, but the legacy that he left and what he did for people, you know, whether it was their childhood, high school, like that, when that music came out, because even for us, like I grew up in New England, obviously, and like that, we still, like when I hear like Kool-Aid and frozen pizza and things like that, Nikes on my feet, like that brings me back to my eighth grade year, freshman year of high school, and I'm like, that was so long ago. But I still remember it like it was yesterday, and solely off the fact that
song.
I remember being at my homie's house, being 13, 14, and we're like, oh, look, this white guy rapping. And then as I got older, I'm like, yo, this dude's an artist. I'm like, this dude's an artist. Like,
As he got older, the piano, the singing, he definitely evolved.
He did it the right way. He definitely did it the right way. I think that there's a lot of people that kind of limit themselves, and I think when you hear people like, you know, Schoolboy Q, people that he like got really close with, and that was his homie. Like when you hear people talk about that, that is someone you could just tell was genuine on all aspects of life. Obviously, I didn't know him as a person, so I can't speak facts, but everyone that I've ever talked to about who has either met him, worked with him, things like that, he was a man. Like that's around here. It's like, you know, you have your artists who are from here and that have blown up and done things like that. Like I'm not really familiar with that, because where I grew up, there's not many people who have made it out of that on that stage.
So it's New England?
Yeah,
like
so
New England,
like Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Connecticut.
But like Patriots or no?
No, that's even worse. I don't know if we want to talk about that. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Okay. So I was about to say,
nah,
I'm not too mad at the Cowboys because they're
typically
doing
Pittsburgh's all right about it, but yeah, first when people ask me where I'm from, it's the first question that comes up. Like, you a Patriots fan? I'm like,
because I was going to go crazy. I'll give the Cowboys a pass because I like Trevor Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, though.
Yeah,
all right, look, we ran out of time, which I told you we were going to knock everything out here. So first, I want you to tell them where they can follow you everywhere, and also all the people that you manage, give their links and stuff, just like fire it off.
For sure. Yeah. You can find me at _Tones2 on Instagram. I also run a curation page. It's curated by Capone, 2 underscores at the end. For the group, we go by The Wedding Party. It's at _The Wedding Party. And artist-wise, at Spooky Lotto. And then real quick, some of my producers are Jack 2 times on Instagram, AB Kirk. Those are my guys right there. And then other artists, Lemonade Benny, I work with a lot. That's my guy. I work with him as well. Magna, okay. He does a lot of SoundCloud music. He's out of Youngstown, if I'm not mistaken. He's the real deal too. Eastside Lenny, Joseph Gray, Small Little Crybaby, Flawless Flow, K-Dose. Yeah, we got a lot of talent out in New England, so I'm going to be back. I'm going to put you on to some more, but for right now, I'll leave it at that. So,
all right, for sure. And again, I appreciate you. It definitely was a classic.
Likewise.
Okay.